lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here in Lexington, Ohio. We are live once again, ready for the Western States Racing League drivers to get it done, this time with a little bit of lefty-righty action here in the Midwest. 40 laps here in the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'm Liam Irving, joined up in the booth once again by Sam Frazier. Sam, how are we doing today?
Hey, Liam, we are doing great tonight. And, well, guys, last week, race 4, Bristol Motor Speedway, P3 was Mike Milfelt Jr., P2 was Ryan Steele, and then P1 was Brian Barnes. Really loose short track racing last week as we saw cars sliding coming out of the turns and sliding coming into the turns. It's pretty close and aggressive racing, but now we are at a totally different kind of ball game as we're at a road course now. Something that we've been looking forward to on the schedule since race 1. So, Liam, what are your thoughts here for tonight?
Tell you what, these guys are going to be in for a challenge. This is one of the most tough technical road courses that you can come across, and these guys are in big, heavy, bulky trucks. These things are going to slide. They're going to take forever to brake. These guys are going to have their hands full all throughout the course of 40 laps here today. And I tell you what, Brian Barnes, we see him. He's going to be starting in 8th place. We'll go through the grid in just a few moments. He's got a tough task in front of him if he wants to try to repeat and defend last week's win at Bristol.
You know, Leo, something about this track is that going from Thunder Valley, turn 10 into turn 11 towards the carousel, you got to be really careful. 'Cause something that we were seeing in practice is that these trucks are really hard to slow down at speed on these road courses, and you were seeing trucks slide trying to get it to slow down going into the carousel. So something that probably will end up happening is that somebody's gonna lock up and maybe slam into the back of somebody else later on in this race as tires wear down throughout the long runs.
Definitely a possibility. We'll go through the grid as these trucks start to roll off. Chris Simard is on the pole, followed by Butch Davis, then Justin T. Wilkinson, Michael Milfelt Jr., last week's podium finisher, Chad Simpson, Christian Bishop, Kyle McCartney, and Brian Barnes, last week's winner. Andrew Schulte and Lyle Swearingen round out the top 10. 11th is Jeff Schmeier, Ross Rawlings, and I tell you what, we are ready to roll for the green flag, and we are gonna go. Chris Simard takes him down with Butch Davis to his outside. First time into turn number 1. We'll see how cordial they are. We look back a little bit further, looking for incidents. So far, nothing. Up front.
So far, so clean.
Up front, it is Chris Simard, but Butch Davis goes deep into the keyhole. Gonna hold it down on the bottom as these guys go 2 and 3 abreast getting into the braking zones.
Butch Davis here is kind of pulling away from Chris Simard. You know, I feel like, oh, we got one truck that spun off. There goes Alan Burgeon, too, in the same spot. Probably got a little bit too greedy on the throttle. Maybe messed up the braking. I don't know. We're seeing them single file through these turns here. Probably a smart idea right now, since it being early in the race. You don't want to go for too many risks.
China Beach and Mayhem now into the S's, where we get into the section that you talked about in the pre-race. So we get off of Thunder Valley, getting to a quick right, then a hard left, leading into the carousel, and it is tough to find your footing here as you see Justin Wilkinson doing a good job right now trying to close in on that second place Chris Simard. But here is that carousel that we talked about.
So far, so good. I don't see anything happening so far through the carousel. Oh, I got the 27 there. It's getting pressured by what looks like the number 18. Or no, the number 30 of Jeff Schmeier.
Jeff Schmeier trying to work the back of that WD-40 truck. Getting a little bit closer, but now things start to single file out. Guys are starting to find their own rhythm to get the tires warm and figure out where they're going to be able to pounce. You're not going to be able to take as many opportunities as you could on the restart, but so many of these chances to pass are going to be planned out more so than just thrown at you like they are when you ride on a restart. So many trucks around. Looking back up to the front, Butch Davis holds out of the race lead over Chris Simard. Simard tried to chase him down, though. Back within a second here as these guys work through Mayhem and on towards Thunder Valley into the S's.
You got JTW just kind of chilling behind Chris Simard right now, just trying to pressure him a little bit because he's right there, right on the back of Chris Simard. Not on his bumper, but he's close enough to put pressure as we see Chris Simard kind of get loose coming out of that turn right there.
Yeah, a little bit of slide there. JTW as well. You see just how hard these guys are pushing. It seems like JTW gets off that corner really well and is able to get a couple of car lengths on Chris Simard. The entry into the carousel, though, goes right back into the favor of the 77 as these guys work off the final corner to complete the second lap here at Mid-Ohio.
You can definitely tell that JTW is trying to gain on Chris Simard because they both have two different lines going in and out of these turns.
Oh, and a little
so you
bit
see Chris
wide.
Simard go a little bit wide.
Sorry there, Sam. Continue on.
Yeah, Chris Simard went a little bit wide there, but as I was saying, these guys have two different lines. Chris Simard is trying to go wide into these turns and then sling out. JTW is going slow and really tight inside to get that power out. So we see this may or may not be an advantage to them here as they're coming up. I'm going to see probably not. I feel like JTW will use his line to his advantage to be able to power through and slingshot around Chris Simard.
And you got to wonder if Simard, sitting in third place right now, is starting to worry about that 19 right behind him. Is he starting to mirror drive a little bit more? or is he going to be able to focus on that gap in front of him? It's increased to 1.3 seconds between first and second place.
Yeah, you know, Liam, something about road courses versus literally any other oval track is that the pressure is higher when somebody's behind you. Somebody's behind you in like a super speedway, you're like, okay, I can use him to get a boost, catch the guy in front, maybe slingshot around. Short tracks, it's like, all right, I gotta make sure I don't do anything crazy, so I spin myself out. When you're on a road course like this, your mindset is just, okay, this guy's behind me. Is he gaining on me, or am I losing him? Do I need to drive harder, or do I need to back off? So you got all that through your mind, and that's just the guy behind you is using that to his advantage to try and pressure you.
Yeah, there's that, but plus the fact that if you're looking in the mirror at the wrong time, you miss your braking zone, you could have a catastrophic failure potentially into the tires, into the sand trap. You might get lucky and it's just grass, but last thing you want to do is get on the brakes late and lock up, especially when you come up to a corner like the keyhole.
Oh,
These
yeah.
guys just went through. Right now we're looking at Christian Bishop in the 26. Haven't really had much of a chance to talk about him all year. Sitting in the top 5 just behind Michael Milfeld Jr. in front of Chad Simpson. Not too bad.
So far, everything's pretty straightforward. Cut and dry, if you would. No real drama. Instead, Christian Bishop is like literally right on the tail end of Michael Milfeld Jr. Going into the 3DSs here. You looked like he was gonna try to make that move, but not that tight of a turn, and he was a little bit too far back. Bishop was. He might try to get him here coming out of the straightaway. Maybe. I know he's going to be trying to put the pressure on as best as he can. The more you can put pressure on somebody and maintain your own line in your composure, the more the guy in front of you is most likely going to make a mistake. Or at least there will be a higher percentage of that happening. I know Christian Bishop and JTW are definitely looking for that right now. I can tell by the way they're driving.
On the back bumper here now with your race leader, Butch Davis. He's got a tough task behind him. It's now Chris Samard, who's the fastest guy in practice, is starting to close that lead down once again. It's down to 0.6 of a second. How about half a second, and that truck is getting closer and closer.
Just gaining just a little bit. Same thing with JTW. He's still sticking that same delta right behind Chris Samard. I have a feeling that if JTW can stay consistent like he is now, he will eventually get by him. He just has to have patience and not do anything crazy. And there's something else I want to talk about, Liam, that I see a lot. Even I do this every now and then, but I try not to, and that's having tunnel vision and getting complacent following somebody else. Because if you're trying to pressure somebody, you can't be following their exact line. You have to be paying attention to what you're doing. Because if they actually do make a mistake, and you got that tunnel vision following their exact line, you're going to go off the track with them. So you have to be, like, in the zone. You can't zone out. You have to be in the zone, hitting your marks perfectly, while trying to pressure somebody. So you see Chris Moore go a little bit wide there. And JTW is, like, literally right on his bumper now.
Just a couple of car lengths, and you know, you're absolutely right. You don't want to go total tunnel vision. You've got to keep your focus, but at the same time, you've also got to go into this sort of version of autopilot where you keep track of, you know, I don't really know how to describe it, right? It's like you keep track of your braking points and how to run this line and how to run your lap, but at the same time, focusing on what the driver in front of you is doing, trying to maybe make a change to a little bit faster.
And that's what your private testing practice, that's where that comes in. The more laps you do, the better you're going to be able to do that when you actually get into a race. Especially for something like this, as we see JTW get extremely loose here in the middle of that S.
I lost a ton of time to second place here as these guys work through the carousel, getting back onto the front straightaway. Butch Davis leads Chris Samard over JTW. Christian Bishop has gotten around Michael Milfelt Jr., and I believe this is Christian Bishop's debut. Looking through the point standings right now, I do not see Christian Bishop's name as somebody who has earned points so far this year. So not a bad time to make your debut, not a bad run. Michael Milfelt Jr. running in the 5th position. Chad Simpson back in 6th. Andrew Schulte, defending champion, making a move to the inside. He's got the preferred
They're side
lane.
by side.
Ooh, that was close. I wonder if they touched.
I don't think they did. It probably would have been more devastating if they did, though. He's going to make that run on him again, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to make the move, or is he going to dive bomb, what he's going to do.
Well, he was peeking.
Personally, I wouldn't dive bomb in these trucks, Liam. I don't know about you, but not on this course.
I agree. You want to try to maybe force the guy in front of you into a mistake instead of forcing yourself into one in that case. So we watched the battle with Schulte and Simpson. Brian Barnes, last week's winner, just behind them in 8th place. Go back to 9th place is Kyle McCartney and Lyle Swearingen rounding out the top 10. Jeff Schmeier, Matt Sisler, Ross Rawlings, Wayne Hutchison, Bob Beltrami in the top 15. Charlie Widener, Jeff Hollingsworth, Dennis Fuson, Paul Crumray, Dan Brazington, David Weaver, Earl Weaver, Daniel Williams, Dustin Burns, Alan Bergen round out the cars on the track. Dave Rudd is off the track due to, I believe, an incident. We're about to find out why. Looks like getting into the keyhole here. He goes a little bit wide, spins it down to the inside.
Oh, yeah.
This one might have more to do with it. Got into the gravel, went and took a tow.
Yep.
Oh, and we've got a spin just in front of your race leaders. That's Alan Bergen coming right back in front. Almost in front of your race leaders. He's going to get out of the way, but
he saw him coming up. He saw him coming up, so he, I feel like that was a good, clean coming back on the track there.
And he's off the track again. He just decides to
cut through to let these guys by. It's probably a smart idea, since he is a lap down now. Just to cut off and let him go. He may have damage.
He might. It seems like he's trying to get out of the way, but unsure of where to go.
Yeah, that's the thing about Mid-Ohio with these trucks, is that some parts of this track are ridiculously narrow. So I like racing open wheels here, like the small open wheel cars, and this track does feel narrow with them, so I can't even imagine driving a truck, racing more like on this track. Because there are some parts, especially like the S's, where this track feels like it's super narrow and you just have no room to go if you make a little mistake.
Yeah, let alone somewhere to run double wide, trying to take a pass or make a pass, take a spot side by side with somebody. There's not a lot of options here, especially as you go through the China Beach section and the Mayhem corner before they lead into the S's.
Butch Davis is still maintaining that lead here. Chris and Ward right behind them. Looks like they're starting to get spread out. Christian Bishop slowly gaining on JTW here at lap after lap. I kind of wish we had like the F1 telemetry where it tells you how many laps it'll be before the car behind catches the car in front. My guess is if he keeps it up, 5 to 6 laps, he'll be on his back bumper, maybe.
Well, I can't quite do it that way, but I can show you which sections of the track Milfelt is quicker than Bishop. Now let's jump up to Wilkinson and Bishop. Bishop about 0.2 of a second quicker throughout this first sector. Obviously not divided up in Formula One sectors properly, but
You can't see purple or green or yellow sectors here. Liam, hear me out. Bigger wings for road courses on these trucks with DRS.
man, this whole truck is drag. What drag are you gonna reduce?
I don't know, but I mean, we can try something. You gotta try something.
I don't know if we do. I don't think catching and passing is a problem. I think these guys are doing right what they need to.
Really, on this track, it's more try to keep the truck on the track.
Yeah, it's definitely a finesse type of racetrack. As you see Bishop closing down on JTW, they're losing time to first and second, which means, which is probably got to be getting in Bishop's head here, but he just can't quite get close enough off the corner to make that pass. Not yet. Alan Bergen has had himself another issue. We'll take a quick look at that.
JTW kind of slid a little bit coming out of that turn. Caught it. You got the 91 and the 93 there. Yeah, Alan's coming in. Looks like he may have just retired.
Yeah, just came in to retire. Charlie Widener has also gone off the racetrack.
Another look at the little battle between JTW and Christian Bishop. Something I noticed, Liam, is that JTW is slow into the turns. Christian Bishop's super aggressive into the turns, but in turn, that allows JTW to power out of these turns, and Christian Bishop.
Here comes Bishop,
Kinda
looking to
slow.
the inside down the front straightaway. Not quite enough of a run to make the move, but going into turn number one, he's going to have that front bumper right there. Goes a little bit wide, coming out of the corner, back to the right side, looking into his left driver's right now, going down to the inside. Not quite enough, but is JTW going to be able to brake under pressure? He does just fine coming out of the keyhole. I tell you what, though, Bishop is there. A little bit hard on the power. Starts to slide.
JTW's experience is coming in here as he's not getting pressured by Christian Bishop. Christian Bishop's really going to be looking to power out of these corners, trying to get around JTW. I don't think JTW is going to fold at all and get pressured into these turns or coming out of these turns.
I don't know. I think Bishop had a really good run coming up out of the front straightaway out of the final corner. He might be able to get the power down in the right spot, and if he can make that pass and start chasing down these leaders. You got to feel, if you're in that 26 truck, that you're quicker than the 19. You can get around him and start chasing those guys down. You just haven't found the right spot to get around him. Sometimes that's where patience really falls in, because you know you want to get around this guy, but the last thing you want to do is try to make that pass in a spot where you know you don't have room to run. There goes JTW a little bit sideways once again. But there's a lot of corners that we talked about on this racetrack that you really don't want to go in side by side. Last thing you want to do is put yourself in a compromising position, try to take a pass in a spot you shouldn't, wind up wrecking both of your trucks.
Going into the S's is really not a good idea to try to go side by side at just looking at the track. As we see, Christian Bishop here is just right on the tail end of JTW. JTW is getting really wiggly out of these turns, but since Christian Bishop is running into the turns super aggressive, causes him to have a slow exit, so it kind of cancels each other out. As you can see here.
Who is he going to affect more? A little bit sideways there, coming up off of the corner. Looked like
he backs off.
Looked like Bishop had to react, and now you see just what different lines these guys are running. And even the trail behind them with Chad Simpson up in this battle. He's getting back to the back bumper of Michael Milfelt Jr. now.
I like this camera angle. It really shows you the different lines that these guys are taking and how fast they're going in versus the truck in front.
Not only that, but we're getting a really good idea of the elevation change, just how quickly some of these corners come up on you. Going into the carousel here, it's like you've got a super short straightaway just coming off of that left-hander. And you turn back to the right for the carousel, quick left once you get off of it, and you start the next lap.
You can also...
Sorry, Sam.
You can also see from this camera angle some of these turns just how narrow this track gets as we see Chris Amar get super loose going into this turn. He catches it. But like I was saying, Liam, if you look at some of these turns from the straightaway, you can see how narrow this track gets. Especially that last coming out of the carousel onto the front stretch, start-finish line. It's very, very narrow.
Take another look at this into turn 2. Way deep, gets her sideways, gasses her up, keeps her out of the grass. Great job there by Chris Samard. He lost a little bit of time, but not a whole heck of a lot. You see how close he is. Half a second, just a couple of truck lengths away from Butch Davis, and Samard is coming quick.
I think Butch Davis is getting pressured because I noticed that he's getting really wiggly in most of these turns here, and that is causing Chris Samard, who's really focused, to gain on him. He's going to try to make that pass somewhere, most likely on the back stretch of coming out of the keyhole.
Another thing to think about is when are pit stops coming. Can't imagine these guys are going to be able to go 40 laps to the end on a tank of fuel.
Oh, definitely not.
Are these guys going to be able to make it to halfway? Are these guys going to try to push it past that? Samard goes deep into the keyhole once again, and it seems like that might be his line of choice. Slide up in the middle, just slide the back end a bit so he could point it coming up off and get the throttle down. Dennis Fuson had himself a little bit of an off right there. Matt Sisler as well. Take a quick look.
Don't know what happened there.
Here's the Matt Sisler incident.
Let's see. Oh, he bounced over that curb. Went off.
Into the China Beach.
Immediately came back on too. No hesitation. A little odd.
Fuson
Ooh.
loses it in the carousel, gets her back going.
Aggressive goes around.
It does seem to happen like that. Charlie Widener, a quick little bit of an off there. He's going to be okay as the battle for the lead heating up once again. It is Fortet's getting down into the keyhole. Samard goes wide. He doesn't slide it quite as much, but taking that little bit wider entry, arcing the corner, got himself a nice run. That's 3/10 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Chris Ward here has got he's just right on the back bumper of Butch Davis. As we got the lap truck here, he's going to go super wide trying to let these guys by. Shouldn't affect these two. I don't know how it's going to affect JTW, Christian Bishop, who are also just as close as first and second. Pretty straightforward. Nothing happening right now. Chris Amard's trying to put the pressure on Butch Davis, trying to force him into a mistake. See Chris Amard kind of going a little wide there. Nothing crazy, just a little tiny wiggle. Not enough to affect his speed, as we can see. As we got the other two, third and fourth, going by our lap truck back here. Christian Bishop still right on the back end of JTW.
Into the carousel, Davis goes a little bit wide. When I say he goes wide, I don't mean like terribly wide. He just took a little bit wider of an angle, and that seemed to work for him coming up off of the final corner onto the front straightaway. Butch Davis has got to be holding on for just hoping 3-4 more laps can go by. He can keep this 77 behind him. He can make that pit stop.
With how close these guys are, it should be a pit stop battle. Who's going to get out quicker? Who's going to get in quicker? Who's going to get out quicker?
And when do you decide to pit? Do you come right at halfway? Do you try a little bit of an undercut? Do you try to stay out? Do an overcut? We know we're not going to see any caution flags. So you've got options here in terms of your strategy. You just have to put together the quickest race time possible. And the less you can worry about racing around other trucks, while you do that, the better off you're going to be. Little bit of an advantage there for Chris Simard. He gets a lower line through that first corner. The second one, advantage to Butch Davis. Back to the right side. Davis gets off of the corner clean, but Chris Simard is not letting him get away as they go through the S's. Left, right, back into a right, and now another...
Right-hander.
Yeah, I already said two rights, and I had to wait for this right to say
Other
another
right. Now into a left.
Paul Crumray just in front of the leaders off the racetrack. He's going to get back on. Might
he needs
have
to
some
swing out.
damage here.
He needs to swing out because these guys are going to come up on him really fast.
Get you updated on what happened with Paul in just a few moments here as the leaders are chasing him down. Ryan Barnes, the first one to make a voluntary pit stop. Jeff Schmeier follows him in, and that's going to open the window. We believe they can make it from here to the end. Who's going to bite? Davis goes in deep. Simard goes in deeper. Simard makes it work. He's within a car length coming up off of the keyhole.
Lap truck getting out of the way. No drama caused by the lap truck.
Lap times don't matter when you're this close. Davis holds on to the race lead. He's got Chris Simard playing it safe just behind him. Seems to be working out for him. He goes in wider but easier on some of these entries. It sets him up for a nice exit. Butch Davis, though, through mayhem and getting towards the S's, has been the clear victor over Chris Simard just through this section. Although right now Simard is getting closer and closer. A little bit wide
Chris
there
Simard.
from Simard. Recovers nicely. Sideways out of Butch Davis.
They both kind of got a little loose out of that turn right there. Very skillful driving right now, as we could see. Butch Davis is really playing defense here as Chris Simard made a very beautiful turn right here going in. We're going to see what they do coming out of this turn onto the front stretch.
Advantage to Davis through the corner, but back onto the straightaway. Simard's got himself a bit more of a run. Chad Simpson comes into the pits after being passed by Andrew Schulte in another battle that was just as close as this one, but we could not take our eyes off of the race lead. We'll try to for now. Christian Bishop still catching up to Justin T. Wilkinson. Another great battle right now is Matt Sisler and Ross Rawlings. You see the 17 of Wayne Hutchison come into the pits. Chad Simpson, he's also in the pits as well.
Yeah, this battle right here is for ninth. Ross Rawlings and Matt Sisler. So you can have another look at our leaders here. They come through T5 and T6.
Paul Crumray, what happened, said he crashed. Saw him off the racetrack.
Oh, it just kind of...
Either a mistimed downshift or a little bit too much rear brake, and that might have gotten him sideways on entry into the corner like that, but... Everybody gets away okay, and we are back to the battle.
Little wiggle by Butch Davis there. Looks like a little gap has formed. You have another look at JTW and Christian Bishop as Christian Bishop right out of the back of JTW. He made a really good entry into that corner.
JTW into the pits this time around, and so are both of the leaders, Butch Davis and Chris Simard. After 19 laps complete, they're going to come into the pits. Christian Bishop is going to come back out onto the racetrack. He's taken the lead for the first time in his Western States Racing League season, maybe in his career. We'll find
Phoenix
out.
in the YouTube chat says, "Let's go Bishop."
Let's go, Bishop, says Phoenix. We appreciate you tuning in. And if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you never miss a race. As racing season picks up, we're going to have fantastic racing on 7 nights a week. And if you're interested in having your league broadcast here with us on Sim Racing Media, we've got plenty of amazing crews to get that job done for you, no matter what day of the week you're looking for. As there's a big
one truck went off into the gravel trap. Who was that? Who just?
That was Dan
ran off?
Brasington. Big time
He's got
off.
it back
Dennis
on.
Tucson has had himself a little bit of a... No, he just came into the pits. The scoring monitor told me something a little bit different. Here comes Christian Bishop, though.
He's really loose. His tires are gone. You can just tell by the way he's exiting out of these corners.
Yeah,
And entry, too.
I would have to think that the undercut is going to be the strategy here. As these guys are almost 3 seconds a lap slower than their fastest lap. Look at how he slings it in there.
Yeah, he's
He
coming
knows
in
he
now.
doesn't have to use the whole corner because he's coming into the pits.
Something I want to talk about, Liam, is this track. It may be narrow, but some of these turns are actually really forgiving in these trucks because of that low speed that you're having coming in. So if you make a mistake like we saw by Dan Brasington, you do have a good chance to not hit anything at all, even if you're out of control, and be able to be forgiven by this track. Other tracks, you do the same thing, and you might as well go ahead and get ready to get towed, or even just, rack up your wheel. So you're going to hit something hard. Having a look here at Daniel Williams.
Try to see what happened here between the 27 and the 8, showing they both made a little bit of contact with each other. Oh, there it is.
Oh, impatience going into the S's there.
Is that impatience or just an unexpected stop there?
Well, I don't think it actually was impatience. Really, now you say that. Let's have another look.
Yeah, that
I think he wasn't able to react fast enough, which I don't think he could.
A-Truck got on the brakes. Not
He
sure.
may have been out of control.
Yeah,
I think he may have been out of control and panicked.
tough break for both of those guys. A little bit of damage on both of those trucks, and Daniel Williams comes into the pits to get that thing looked at.
Luckily, since it's a road course, especially a road course that doesn't really require too many aerodynamics, even if you do have damage, as long as your suspension or shocks or anything related to the performance of the car isn't damaged, you can still be pretty competitive.
Michael Milfeld Jr. around in the carousel.
I wonder if he had help from those trucks that were behind them.
We'll find out. Kyle McCartney leads the race over Butch Davis, who cycled out into second. Chris Samar just behind him. Justin T. Wilkinson, Christian Bishop. And we'll see.
He goes around the 4.
Brian Barnes.
That's what I thought. He did have help. Nothing too crazy, though.
Couple of podium finishers from last week. Your first and third place finishers getting together.
Number 18, Kyle McCartney, ladies and gentlemen. I mentioned this every broadcast. He's done it once again. Just kind of minding his own business. And the next thing you know, even though it's through pit stops, he's leading this race for a few laps. He's really good at that. He's really good at just kind of minding his own business, not getting into any drama at all, and just being able to have a pretty solid finish.
We look towards the back of the pack here. We see Dustin Burns out here.
Golden Knights.
We've been watching the front of the race a lot here today because this has been an incredible battle up front as Kyle McCartney comes into the pit. But we do want to make sure everybody gets some love here. Dustin Burns, maybe not having the race that he's wanted so far, sits a couple of laps down, maybe a lap and a half, sitting in 22nd position Got
Yeah, Bristol
7
for
guys behind him.
Bristol for Burns was not good early on in the race. He made a little bit of a mistake and made a pretty bad error that he couldn't recover from. So he'll definitely be looking to try to get some points here today, hopefully, to try to make up for his losses at Bristol Motor Speedway last week.
Earl Weaver, he's just come off of the pit lane, just in front of David Weaver, about half a lap in front of David Weaver. Right in front of Chad Simpson, gonna let him go, but rocking the 20th position. That's about where he started. Not a bad day. There hasn't been a whole lot of position trading here on the road course. It's, well, I won't lie, it's been tough to set up passes. When you can make them happen, it's been great, but it has been tough for a lot of these guys to set up passes, and that's what Butch Davis is kind of hoping continues on as he continues to put down laps. So far, I believe he's got the fastest lap of the race with a 1:28.43. Gonna go ahead and bring up our lap times once again so you guys can see just, well, maybe let's try the battles box.
Let's try it.
You can see just what sections of the racetrack Samard is closing in on Davis, and a little bit off there for Samard, going to cost him about half a tenth. Maybe more.
Seems that Samard is kind of gains going into the turns, but then he loses coming out, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. If you're going super aggressive into these turns, you're not going to have such a great exit if you just kind of cruise your way into the turns and power out of them.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough for you if you hook up the tires on entry and try to cook them on exit. You want to be easy on them. You want to, you want to
Easy
simmer
in, fast out.
simmer the tires. You don't want to put them on the power burner right away.
Easy in, fast out. Especially for a track like this.
A little bit loose there out of Butch Davis once again. Chris Samard trying to chase him down. Meanwhile, the battle between third and fourth has gained up to a second and a half. Charlie Widener's had himself, might have had himself an off.
Look there.
Oh, just got up onto that curbing in the first turn, got sideways. Was able to get her back going. Good save there out of Charlie Widener. Daniel Williams returned to the racetrack and had himself another off-track excursion. What happens as he tries to give McCartney the space. He gets a bump.
McCartney just moved him.
That was an extended off-track.
You know, Liam, I'm gonna... Whatever you want to say about that, I will let you say. I don't know. I don't know.
It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of patience for the 8 truck right now. As Chris
I don't know.
Savard gets right up to the back bumper of Butch Davis through the S's into that hard left-hander right before the carousel.
Chris Samard here is just really trying to pressure Butch Davis. He's gonna try to have a good exit. I just don't know, because Butch Davis is also just super consistent and pretty good at defending against Chris Samard. So he'd have to make a pretty big error or a mistake to allow Chris Samard to get by him at this rate.
I'm not so sure about that. It might just have to be an opportune mistake as you see Chris Samard goes wide in the middle of that corner to set up his exit down the back straightaway. Been doing that almost every time.
He knows something that we don't, 'cause he does keep doing that now that you mention it. I have noticed that too.
Well, I know what he's doing. He's almost trying to take a double apex. Hit the apex on the entry, go wide, cut down, hit the apex on exit, so that you can just gas her up once you make
Yeah,
her
but
stop, you know?
usually you would do that with high downforce vehicles. These are definitely not high downforce vehicles by any means. They're just like driving a boat.
Yeah, but if you know how to use the brakes, you can stop
That
better
is
than
true.
almost anybody else. And it seems like Chris Samard right now is able to stop a little bit better than Butch Davis, but Butch Davis holds out of the
Has
race
better
lead
exits.
as he has from the get-go. Chris Samard on the pole, Butch Davis the outside pole. He stuck around on that first lap, was able to take away the race lead. Let's go ahead and go back and show you that green flag, the initial start of this race. Go to our very favorite blimp camera that we've been utilizing all day just because it's able to show you so much of what's going on this racetrack. Green flag came out immediately as they came out of the corner. Davis stays strong up on the top side. Keeps his nose up on the top. Look at that 3-wide move by Andrew Schulke back in the pack.
Oh yeah.
Davis hard on the brakes. That's
Yeah, see, got him in the braking right there.
just about the only time we've seen Butch
To the
Davis
keyhole.
outbrake Chris Samard, though.
That was a very aggressive move.
It's getting exciting. Back up at the front once again. Little exciting here, just inside the top 10. Kyle
A three-truck
McCartney on a
battle.
little bit fresher tires, trying to chase down Brian Barnes and the 30 of Jeff Schmeier just in front of him.
Oh, we saw, I think it was McCartney. It could have been somebody else, but somebody did move that 8 truck out of their way.
Yeah, that was
They had
McCartney.
zero patience.
I don't know if it was zero patience so much as the 8 truck stopped moving in front of him.
Oh no, the 8 truck has been getting bashed around this track like, well, twice so far, but it kind of feels like all race.
Like a baton in a 2,000-meter relay.
I was gonna
Maybe
say
like
more
the
like
syrup at a Waffle
that
House?
one. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know. Road racing is something different for everybody, and it's not always easy. And, well, there's not always a good time for us to do this, but we're going to go ahead and step away side by side. We'll keep the action, or the eye on the action right here for the race leaders. But with 12 laps to go, we got to step aside, pay some bills real quick. We'll be right back with the conclusion of the Mid-Ohio 200 here on the Western States Racing League on Sim Racing Media. Back live here at Mid-Ohio. The battle up front has gotten a little bit closer, and now we've got a lap truck just in front of Butch Davis. He pulls off to the side, going to allow both of those guys to get past. But before we get too far in front of ourselves, Justin T. Wilkinson has got himself a mirror full of Christian Bishop.
I want to know if he's going to get by, or both of these trucks are going to get by these lap trucks smoother than Chris Samar and Butch Davis did, because they were a lot closer while we were gone. But what happened was, I was watching it too, that truck behind Dennis Fuson, I think that is Dan Brazington, he kind of made a little mistake in the turns. Butch Davis managed to get it by him, but he kind of held up Chris Samar a little bit. That caused a little bit of a gap between the two leaders. And yeah, they did end up getting past Dennis Fuson right as we came back pretty clean.
Looking at the lap time between second and third, seems like Chris Samard has been just a hair quicker every single time around, with the exception of lap 29, where he was almost a full second quicker, 0.78 of a second quicker, 0.7 of a second.
We got 9.5 laps to go.
Things starting to heat up front. How aggressive are you going to get as these laps wind down?
We see those different lines here again.
Looking up to the front, you can see they trade lap times back and forth. Davis,
Chris Samar is right there.
Yeah, Sam, you're right. Chris Samard was right there. Davis went a little bit wide, but it works out in his favor. He's got 3-4 car lengths down the front straightaway. Christian Bishop down to the inside, going into turn number 1. Doesn't quite have enough. He's going to swing back in. Going to try to set himself up once again. Coming down this straightaway towards the keyhole. He doesn't seem to have enough.
He's looking, though.
He's looking.
He was looking.
They get on the brakes at the exact same time.
Oh, man.
Bishop was right there coming up off of the final corner. 9 laps to go, battling for the race win. 9 laps to go for a podium position, about 4 seconds behind these guys. Meanwhile, we've got lapped cars getting in the way. We've got battles in the top 10. We've got everything that you want going on here at this road course. I know I said that passing is tough for people to do, but Andrew Schulta is a guy that we've seen go back and forth a couple of times. He's up in the top 5 now, currently up 4 spots from where he started. Jeff Schmeier, also another guy who's up 4 spots. But without the cautions, things get spread out. It gets tougher to make those passes happen once you get past 3, 4, 5 guys.
Yeah, and he's got Kyle McCartney right on his tail trying to get that spot back that he took away from him.
McCartney on about 5 lap fresher tires than Schmeier in front of him.
Yeah, you can tell Schmeier's tires are kind of wearing off. He's getting really loose coming out of some of these turns here. See, is McCartney right on his tail. Coming to the start-finish stretch right here. I have a feeling with 5 laps to go is when we're going to start really seeing the moves starting to come out here. Our top 5, really.
Oh, we might have to.
I think that's what they've been doing, is just holding back. They're going to make a late race move and not do it too early, just in case they make a mistake.
That might be a bump right there out of Christian Bishop. Right up on the back bumper of Justin T. Wilkinson. He knows those top 2 are getting away from him. He is pushing to try to make this pass happen. Past the 8 machine once again. Clean and green right through there.
Yeah, Bishop, he kind of... I think it may have been trying to pass that lap truck, but that gap has kind of extended between these 2 trucks again. He's going to be looking to come back. Oh, really aggressive in the turn is Bishop. That's most likely going to cause him to have a really slow exit versus JTW. Yeah, that gap opens up one more time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That cost him coming up off of the final corner, through the final corner. Back up to the front, 7 laps to go. And to get back to your point, I think you might be right in terms of seeing these guys get aggressive with 5 laps to go. Maybe start laying the bumper down. We've seen how tough it is to catch somebody up and pass them. And when you get almost ready to pass somebody, it's been super tough to continue to stay next to him down the front or down these straightaways. Here's Chris Samard.
Chris Samard is right there.
43. Defensive line by Butch Davis getting into the corner. Samard going to try to cross him over, cross him up. Just nothing doing right there as Butch Davis gets through Mayhem. Turns back to the right towards the S's. 7 laps to go, coming to 6 laps this time by Chris Samard. Has not let that 43 out of his sight.
Yeah, we got these different lines here.
Great work there for Samard getting through the middle of the corner. Just seems to favor on the exit towards Butch Davis. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in live here on Sim Racing Media. We can't thank you enough for spending your Tuesday night with us. We've got a fantastic slate of racing coming your way as soon as the NASCAR season starts. We've got a couple of leagues picking up tomorrow night. As soon as NASCAR season starts, we bring back Sunday night NASCAR. We've already got ISNF on Saturday nights. We've got a lot coming for you this 2024 calendar year. And I am just as excited to share it with you as I hope you are to tune in and see all the great racing action we've got. Right now, the great racing action is 6 laps to go. Butch Davis with about 2 car lengths over Chris Samard. 3 car lengths now as they go down the back straightaway through the little kink. Now towards the China Beach corner.
You can bring it down to 2 and 1.
That sand trap right there is what is referred to as China Beach. This corner right here is Mayhem. This one I couldn't find a name for as we go into the Essence.
Interesting, because the track map that I have up only has the carousel, the keyhole, and the S's in Thunder Valley, which is right before the carousel. There's 6 laps to go here, 5.5 technically. Chris Samard definitely looking to pressure Butch Davis, but Butch Davis is not folding at all. He kind of makes just a little mistake, I think, going that turn. He got loose and caught it going into the carousel. That is a big gap again between these two.
With 5 laps to go, the gap's starting to increase. Also increasing for our 3rd place battle. JTW has actually, he's lost the position.
Yeah, they swapped somewhere.
Bishop.
Oh, Chris Samard is off. Chris Samard has made a mistake in the keyhole. The gap has now just massively increased. Christian Bishop is going to be looking to probably run up on Chris Samard now. I don't know what happened, but I saw it. I looked up, looking from the timing. I saw Chris Samard go completely off into the gravel trap.
We're going to find out here.
My hands are on my head right now. I cannot believe that he made a big mistake like that. Oh, he just got it all wrong.
A lot of rear brake there. He went in deep. That rear locked up.
That, with how many laps are left, that is severely costly. Severely costly. It is a 3-second gap between Butch Davis and Chris Samard at the moment.
Here's Christian Bishop making the pass for 3rd.
Ooh, JTW got super loose going into there. Almost lost it, and that caused Christian Bishop, that held on to it pretty smoothly, just go right by him with no issues.
Butch Davis holds on to about a 3-second lead. We are going to keep an eye on these lap times. In Samard's favor for the first couple for the first two on our board here. A couple of tenths in favor of Davis after that. Then we saw the lockup into the grass, into the gravel trap. Bit of a recovery out of Chris Samard. He's got 3 seconds to overcome in 4 laps.
You know, Liam, unless Butch Davis makes a very critical mistake, I don't think Chris Samard's going to be able to catch him before the end of this race. We literally only have 3.5 laps left here.
While that is true, the gap is down to 2.5, 2.4, 2.3. The gap is falling considerably in the favor of Chris Samard right now. It's 2.1 seconds, coming to 3 laps to go. Butch Davis can't take this as a chance to just let off. He's got to keep going, but he can't push too hard and force himself into that mistake that you talked about there, Sam.
You know, now that you look at it, if you pay attention, he is kind of sliding just a little bit, trying to get this truck to stop. It's very, 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 very minuscule, but he's struggling with the tires right now. I can tell by how wiggly this truck is getting if you really look at it.
Almost a full second in the favor of Chris Samard that last time by 3 laps to go. Less than 2 seconds is the gap for the race lead.
Look at that wiggle that Butch Davis just had trying to enter into this turn.
Samard taking his normal line, goes a little bit wide through the center of the corner, comes off with speed. It's 1.8. The gap is dropping. You can see it at the top of our screen. You can see our lap-by-lap comparison at the bottom of the screen. Davis has fallen off considerably, with his last lap being a 1:32.07. Chris Samard, let's take a look at his last lap, was a 1:31.08. Much quicker for second place, as the gap is now 1.5 seconds.
For those watching the broadcast, I may have been wrong about Chris Samard being able to catch Butch Davis by the last lap, because Butch Davis looks to be struggling on these tires. And Chris Samard's definitely in chase mode after making that mistake. He's going to be on the attack, trying to catch up to Butch Davis. So I may have been wrong here, folks.
The gap still sits at 1.5, 1.4 as we approach 2 laps to go. Can Samard string together the 2 best road course laps of his life, or is Butch Davis going to hold on to this one? Coming up off of the final corner, 2 laps to go, 2 sticks in the air from the flagman.
I'm really watching the data here, trying to see what could happen. JTW is like disappearing from these guys in the background. Christian Bishop is trying to catch Chris Samard.
Remember, catching him is one thing, passing him is another. 1.6 seconds as these guys work through the Mayhem corner. Getting towards the S's.
If you can catch him, you can most likely pressure him on the last lap. It's that last lap, start getting the shakes. If you're the leader, that'll cause you to have a mistake.
Certainly could. Also, losing 3 seconds of your lead.
Oh, big slide by Butch Davis. Huge slide.
Less than a second is the race lead. Is the gap for the race lead, rather. Things heating up real quick as we come to the white flag. 0.8 of a second. Chris Samard, can he get there? Can he put the bumper? What's he gonna do? These guys closing in on each other big time.
Well, they are so close now. They are so close now, Liam.
1 lap to go. Believe 11 corners to decide it all. Half a second is the gap between first and second. Butch Davis holds on to the race lead. Chris Samard giving it everything he's got.
Chris Samard, this is going to be probably the most aggressive road course lap that he's ever done in his racing career, most likely. He's really going to be putting the pressure on Butch Davis.
Back off of the corner. He's got himself a bit of a run. Can he get close enough to pressure Butch Davis into a mistake? Can he get close enough to use the bumper in the final couple of corners? Samard goes wide. He stays to his wide arc. Tries to cut the gap. A little bit on the throttle coming through that corner. Trying to close the gap in the braking zone coming into that next left-hander. Through to the next right. Into the S's. Butch Davis has 2 car lengths of a lead. Chris Samard doing everything he can to try to get to that back bumper. Coming
Such
through
clean
into
racing by
Thunder
these two.
Valley. Sideways is Samard. A little bit sideways is Davis. 0.3 of a second, 2 car lengths as they pull into the left-hander for the final time, setting up for the carousel. Samard
no,
goes a little bit
sliding.
wide. He's going to try to set up for a bump. Can he do it? No, he can't. Butch Davis is going to come off turn number 11 and win here in Mid-Ohio in the Western States Racing League.
Oh,
Damn near
man.
flag to flag. Butch Davis gets the job done, and Chris Samard with the chase of a lifetime to finish second place. Third place is going to go to Christian Bishop. Justin T. Wilkinson is going to come across the line in fourth after spinning. Andrew Schulte, Chad Simpson, Kyle McCartney, Jeff Schmeier, Brian Barnes, Michael Milfeld Jr. going to come across the line here in 10th place. Swearingen through the carousel, coming to finish his race in 11th. Rawlings, Sisler, Wayne Hutchison,
Beltrami. Ooh.
Butch Davis gonna burn it down right here. There's JTW getting in there. Chad Simpson. Andrew Schulte making it a bit of a demo derby here.
Hey, it's the end of a race on a league race. You might as well have a little bit of fun. Obviously, you don't want to do this in real life. That'd be a pretty expensive celebration. But it being iRacing, you can have whatever fun you want after the end of the race.
We had Butch Davis win over Chris Samard, Christian Bishop, Justin T. Wilkinson, Andrew Schulte, Chad Simpson, Kyle McCartney, Jeff Schmeier, Brian Barnes, Michael Milfeld Jr. round out your top 10. Lyle Swearingen, Ross Rawlings, Matt Sisler, Wayne Hutchinson, Bob Beltrami round out the top 15. Move on down to Jeff Hollingsworth, Charlie Widener, Dennis Fuson, Dan Brazington, Earl Weaver, David Weaver, and Daniel Williams, Dustin Burns, Paul Crumray, Alan Bergen, Dave Rudd, Fred Williams, James Stewart, Chris Walker, and William Fletcher. Ran through our results early, so we've got a little bit more time with our friends, our podium finishers, and we're going to go ahead and start with our race winner, Butch Davis. Butch, it's Liam and Sam up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, first off, congratulations on what can only be described as a dominant run here. You did not give up the lead under any green flag circumstances. The only laps you didn't lead were due to one driver staying out. Absolutely incredible job by you. What did it take to keep that 77 behind you?
A throttle with an eggshell under it, and a very heavy left brake foot. I can usually brake a little bit better than Chris. Chris is definitely much smoother on the throttle than I am. That was evident at the end of that. You know, he had that little off track. If he doesn't have that off track, I think he beats me to the checkers. He was definitely faster than me after I'd say maybe 5 to 6 laps into the run. This track is just notoriously difficult to make passes at. I don't care what car you're in. We've run it in Indy cars. We've run it in Cup cars, trucks now. Yeah, you just have to really set up the pass, and you know, he just lost that focus for that one little moment into turn 2, and it really cost him the victory, I think. And it sucks for him, but I'll take it.
I tell you what, speaking of passing being difficult and setting up the pass, you set up the perfect pass at the perfect time right here on the green flag. We'll take a look at it here, and we'll see as you set up, coming up off of the final corner, you get the gas right at the same time as Chris. Walk us through what happened through turn one. How were you able to stick with it and keep the nose there coming up off of that first corner and get him into the keyhole?
That's the one great thing about, having teammates that we kind of take care of each other. We knew we weren't going to go bombing it off into turn one and wreck each other. But, we are going to race each other. We probably race each other harder than we race other people. But we try to be as clean as possible. And obviously, lap one, turn one, you want to just survive. I just came off of the throttle a little bit earlier than he did, I believe, and was able to kind of stay a little bit to his right side. And then again, just, being a little bit better on the brakes than him. He'd kind of already said that he wasn't going to push early. He wasn't comfortable doing that. So kind of that little chip on my shoulder thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take advantage of that, teammate or not. So when the opportunity presented itself, I definitely jumped at it and got out front. And I think maybe if he was a little bit more aggressive at the start, he probably would have just walked away from me over the course of the race. But that's the chance you take when you don't push hard. But at the same time, if you pushed hard, we might have both ended up in the tire barriers. So
Definitely pushed hard at the right time. You came home with a dominating victory. Took the lead from lap one and never really looked back outside of green flag pit stops. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to for such a strong run for you and your team?
yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to all my FBR Motorsports teammates. We had a pretty decent showing tonight, obviously, with me and Chris up there in the top three, Justin Wilkinson just outside. Chad Simpson, Dan Brazington, Mikey Bourne couldn't be here tonight, Neil Messer, Larry Edmondson. I have a great group of guys around me. Definitely want to thank our sponsors, FBR Motorsports Sim Rig Accessories Creation Studio. And I messed that up. I shouldn't have said Motorsports. And definitely want to thank Sim Motion and VNM Simulations, and thank you guys in the booth. And thank Bob for putting this on. WSR is great.
Awesome stuff, man. Thank you for joining us up in the booth. Congratulations once again on your win here at Mid-Ohio. Go and celebrate, man.
Thank you, gentlemen. Woo! About darn time.
That was Butch Davis, our race winner. Sam, I believe you've got Chris Samar.
Hey, Chris, it's Sam up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
So, first, I got several things I want to talk about, but first, I want you to talk us through your pretty consistent performance, like throughout literally the entire race. You and Butch Davis were pretty dominant in the top two, literally from the get-go. So, kind of walk me through your strategy that you had in mind for tonight.
Well, first, the strategy was qualifying up front, because I knew that was going to be the key to staying up there. I mean, if you were qualifying mid-pack or something, it was a big disadvantage. So qualifying was good, and I was just trying to take it easy. It took so much patience and so much focus. I'm dead tired, because the second you lose focus or get off the track a little bit or spin the rear tires, it was so easy to spin the rear tires, and it just I'm exhausted after that. It was fun racing with Butch the whole race and keeping up with him, but it was absolutely exhausting for me. So
Yeah, I noticed coming out of these turns, a lot of people in the back were kind of spinning out a little bit, making mistakes, doing that. And you yourself kind of had a little, I think it was like on 5 laps to go, lap 35, I believe. I think it was in the keyhole. Made a little mistake trying to make that turn. So, like,
yeah,
what happened there?
I got in too hard. I locked him up, and I'm glad I saved it, and I'm glad there was the kitty litter there, because I would have went straight into the tire barrier or whatnot. I'm glad that slowed me down a little bit, because I probably would have just went straight into the wall, and I'm glad I gathered it back up. So
Yeah, I gotta give you props for catching Butch Davis. If there was like another lap, I feel like you may have been able to get by him if it was a 41 lap race versus a 40 lap race.
Yeah, he was better coming to the start finish line and going through turn 1 and turn 2 than I was.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit faster in the real slow mile per hour corners, and
Mm-hmm.
it just I'd catch up to him, but there was nowhere to pass him, and I'd get on the outside a little bit, and it would just start to slide the tires, and I couldn't get any sort of advantage on that. But it was fun. It's always fun racing my teammate like that. That's just it's a lot. It's a ball running the teammate like that, clean and fun. So.
Do you have anybody you want to give a shout out to and thank for your run here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my teammates at Simmering Accessories Creation Studio. Everyone, everyone that I race around, they race me clean. It's fun. This league is fun to run, and I have a ball every week. I don't know if I do very well every week, but every week I have a lot of fun, and it's a pleasure to run here. So, my wife and son, and I think that's about it. So,
Nice. Liam, do you have anything else for Chris here?
you guys up in the booth too. You guys do a great job. So,
Oh, yeah, we appreciate it.
No, not really. I mean, I think you covered it pretty well. The only thing that I want to ask is, what ignited that fire after you're off track? Because you chased Butch Davis down like it was nobody's business. But
yeah, I just, I was mad at that point. I was driving mad, and I was lucky that I didn't screw up anymore. So, I knew if I could just stay on the track and gain in the low mile per hour corners, I would catch back up to him. But I was driving a little upset after that because it I don't know, it's fun to run with your teammates. It's fun to run like that, but we're competitive. We want to beat each other, so we want to pass each other and race hard. So I was just a little mad at that point, and I guess that helped me at the end. So,
well, we appreciate you joining us, and well, go celebrate the podium finish. We'll hopefully be talking to you again next week.
all right, fellas, have a good night, man.
All right, and last but not least, Christian Bishop up in the booth. It's Liam Irving and Sam Frazier. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this your series debut, or is it just for the season?
Just for the season. I actually had a kid this weekend, so I was pretty busy before, and it it's not like lightening up, but I just happened to be able to make this one today. And I love road courses with oval cars, so always try extra hard to make those.
Awesome stuff, man. We're super glad you were able to join us. Just want to double back. Did you say you had a kid over the past weekend?
Yes, she was born on Saturday.
Congratulations to you and to your wife and to young Miss Bishop as well.
Thanks. It was a little early, but happy that we're home and back to the grind.
Well, awesome stuff. Sim Racing Media as a group will say, congrats and, thoughts and prayers for happy, healthy baby at home, and happy for you there. Now we got to get down to business, man. You were insanely quick chasing down JTW all race long. You finally got that pass done within the last 10 laps. Walk us through that battle, and what did it take to get that pass to get onto the podium?
Yeah, it took basically waiting 37 laps for him to make a big enough mistake at a place where I was close enough. There's not really a great place to make a real move at Mid-Ohio. You have to get a really, really good run to make a move into 1 or into 2. And then everywhere else, is really tough because there's so much switchbacks and so many elevation changes, especially with the crests that just want to take your rear end away. So I was lucky he kind of messed up going into, what is that, like 5, 6, 7, the switchbacks, and I was able to finally get alongside of him, and I think he didn't want to keep wrecking his tires. I think he had kind of killed his rears by that point, so he chose to back out, and I was stoked to finally get by. Kind of bummed that it took that long, so I couldn't get up to fight with Chris and Butch, but it is what it is. It was a really fun fight for pretty much the whole race, so what more can you really ask for?
Did you think you had any speed to be able to get up to those top two if you were able to get around the 19 a little bit sooner?
Oh yeah, I know my biggest fault is qualifying pace. So usually I am able to get a few spots in the race, but road courses are my jam. So I tend to be not really content unless I'm at least on the podium or usually trying to win. So I always think I have the pace to get up there. Unfortunately for me, Chris was the one with the real pace. If I had gotten up there, I don't think I would have been able to get past him because he was insanely fast at the end, especially the last few laps. I think he ran a 30 flat his last lap, which is wild given the state of the tires. But yeah, it's a lot of fun on these, and I'm really happy because the last few seasons, the skill level on road course driving and WSRL has like double or tripled. So the races on road courses are so amazing now, pretty much every single time.
Well, Kristen, we can tell that was your jam. You were doing an excellent job, and I'd just like to reciprocate what you're saying. The road course racing this season, well, only the one road course race so far, has been excellent. It's been clean. You know, we've had plenty of times where people maybe could have bumped somebody out of the way. Doesn't really happen very often, and I think that goes as a whole for the league this year. I mean, with the exception of Bristol last week, Bristol being Bristol, it's going to be a little bit more caution heavy. We've had a lot of super clean racing throughout the course of this year, Christian, and definitely glad that you're able to get up here and experience some of it. Hopefully you'll be able to be back for some more. Obviously, I know you're busy, but before we let you go, who do you want to shout out? Who do you want to give a shout out to for such a strong run here today once again?
Of course, the new baby Scarlett, and the rest of the family, who's basically makes it possible for us to live our life. You know, having kids is a lot of work, so having extra people that are willing to help and that are awesome is amazing. And my awesome wife who had to deal with being pregnant for 9 months. It seems like not a lot of fun. I would not recommend.
Well, that's one thing I'm thankful I can't do.
Right? I'm glad that it happened, but I'm also glad that it wasn't me, and I'm glad she doesn't have to do it again.
Well, once again, congratulations to you, a new father. Congratulations to your wife, a new mother, and congratulations to baby Scarlett on her new life. And we wish you all the absolute best moving forward. Hope to see you on the track again, but definitely understand if we don't.
Oh yeah, as soon as I can, which is TBD.
Awesome stuff. Thanks again, Christian. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's gonna about do it for us here. Fantastic road racing here in the Western States Racing League. Getting the job done here in Mid-Ohio was Butch Davis. Chris Samard takes away second place. Christian Bishop rounds out the podium. Go ahead and show you guys our race results here. We had ourselves a fantastic show, Sam. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it definitely was. It's pretty clean racing. A few incidents here and there, but nothing crazy, really.
Fantastic racing, as always, here in the Western States Racing League. That will do it for us here on Sim Racing Media, though. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, and remember, we've got fantastic racing coming up 7 nights a week after Daytona. So keep your eyes and ears peeled to our channel. We'll be ready to rock with you each night of the week. But for Sam Frazier, I'm Liam Irving. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. And a reminder, when you play in the streets of life, don't play in traffic.